Don't run. The flash starts right now.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Have to bring some Christmas cheer since this episode has me all
depressed.
messed up.
So depressed.
I am mad, and for once it doesn't have anything to do with Wally. Let's just get right into it. What's up, guys? My name is Drew Jones. You can follow me on all the things at OKDrewJ, and I'm going to throw it over to my homegirl, Chauncey.
Hey, y'all. This is Chauncey K. Robinson, and you can catch me on Twitter at Miss Chauncey KR.
What?
I know.
Just, oh my God.
It started so happy, too.
It started great. It starts with Cisco and Ralph, our two resident comedians, or not Ralph, Cisco and Wells.
Yeah.
Decorating the tree, another comedian, arguing about...
And that was the cutest thing ever.
The tinsel ratio.
Yeah, it was like, you know, the Grinch, I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. I've heard that one before. It was so geeky and fun. And then Ralph came in. And just from there, everything just went down.
Just ridiculous. So then Ralphie walks in, makes a comment about his grandma and getting that inheritance. And Caitlin pops in, and we find out that they have been hanging out with Killer Frost.
Yeah, it seems like there's been some. Well, you know, one of the things with Caitlin is what she was saying, that she doesn't it's like Hulk. She's like the Hulk Killer Frost. She doesn't remember what goes on when she's Killer Frost. So I guess they've been having like secret hangouts, and like Killer Frost has been hanging out with them even when she's not fighting bad guys or something.
Does anyone else want to know what the baking soda inside joke is?
I want to know what the baking soda thing is.
I feel like Killer Frost is like, you know how people are like, oh, like, I have a friend named Philip, and he says that when he's drunk, he's just Phil. Yeah. Because it's like his alternate personality. I feel like Killer Frost is like Caitlin's like drunk Caitlin.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back and forth, and I don't know if the writers are gearing towards this idea of meshing them eventually, because there is times when she does say that she sort of remembers, but she can't do anything or something, or she sort of remembers, and the other time she doesn't remember anything. So it's kind of like, does that mean when Killer Frost is in control, does she block Caitlin from knowing? Yeah. You know, it's weird.
It's very weird. So obviously Ralphie makes a comment that they like hanging out with Killer Frost more than they like Caitlin. And obviously everyone's like, dude, why'd you say that? That was so stupid.
Yeah, he just would not let up. It was just like, yeah, you know, you're cool, Snow Cone. That was his name for her. And it was just like, but we like Frostbite. And it was like, okay.
Ralphie just needs to learn to like shut up sometimes. But, you know, it's Ralphie. So we hop over to Iris and Barry. And from the get-go, we get some Olicity shade. Which I was wondering, because I'm just like, if that was my wedding, I'd feel some type of way.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about this, our last one, where basically, you know, the double wedding, which was really not a double wedding. It was more like there was one main wedding and someone jumped in at the very last moment, Olicity. And there was a whole thing online where people were saying that, oh, you know, Iris and Barry were completely fine with it. They're friends, girl power. Iris and Felicity are friends, so it doesn't matter. And tonight as we saw the happy couple of West Allen kind of opening up all their gifts. And by the way, Olicity got them an espresso machine, and it was kind of like,
wasn't on the registry.
Right. And, you know, Iris threw shade. She was like, yeah, that wasn't on the registry, and neither was, you know, I guess getting married at my wedding. So, and it was like shade. I was like, yes, I was waiting for that, because I felt like that solidified what a lot of us thought, which was, okay, that wasn't cool, was it? Yeah. So it's cool that the Flash writers being back at the helm past the crossover, we're kind of like, yeah, no, that wasn't. Iris and Barry weren't cool with that.
No, we didn't like that. So we see that they've opened all their gifts, and they have one more gift that there's no cards. So instantly, I'm like, this is fishy.
Yeah.
And so they open it. We see it's a knife set with only one knife. And I'm like, all right. So I'm thinking,
like, what is that from?
What is that from? But okay. because we ignore it because they have a cute little moment, and he says, "I love you, Iris was the Alan."
Yeah, there was, and also the other moment was when he just started cleaning up regularly, and she was saying, she said, you know, what are you doing? You're not just gonna speed up. I'm sure Iris is like, could you like speed up so like we can just clean up? And he was like, you know, at one time when I first got my powers, I would always use, you know, super speed, and we saw that like in the first couple of seasons, he would, you know, always be using super speed for whatever. And he was like, you know, I felt at peace. You know, that's when I used it, but I didn't need to do that. I don't need to do that now because I feel at peace. He's like, I don't need to run when I'm with you. And I was just like, thank you.
Which another sign that the writers are about to wreck us. And
exactly.
Us.
I mean, I felt like as soon as we got that moment, I'm like, okay, everything's going to go to crap right now.
Everything's about to crumble. Prepare yourself. So, of course, we go over to DeVoe, his shady self. He keeps talking about today is the day. Today is the birthday. And we're like, what are you talking about? And I know there was a lot of speculation, and people were throwing around that maybe... because of his body deteriorating, that maybe he was going to take over Barry's body. So honestly, I kind of, when he started saying that, that's instantly where I was going to.
Yeah, I think we shared a look when he said that. I was, you know, it was like this whole thing of his wife saying that, the mechanic saying that, you know, you're going to share a birthday basically with Jesus and everything like that.
Which I was like...
And that was also funny because DeVoe actually added, he said, like, well, actually, he wasn't born till the spring. Of course, him being the smartest man alive or whatever. And, you know, the first thing I thought was like, okay, so this must be, because I saw the preview for this episode, and it was just like, okay, so he's going to steal Barry to try to take his body. Yeah. So this is planning that in motion. And, it didn't go that way at all.
It did not go
But
that way.
Either way, when they said that, that's definitely what I thought was about to happen.
Same. So we jump from that to... Caitlin sitting at Jitter's drinking her Killer Frost espresso, which, what a slap in the face. Like, you finally get a drink name after you, and it's your
alter ego.
It's your alter ego. I'd feel some type
I want to
way.
taste the Killer Frost drink. I don't even drink coffee, and I want to try it.
I bet it has mint in it. I don't know.
That's random.
It's like a cool, because mint is like cool feeling, you know, like it has a cool aftertaste.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Let us know what you guys think is in the Killer Frost espresso. So we see Caitlin, you know, upset, and Wells comes in and says, like, nobody can be Caitlin Snow. Like, yeah, Killer Frost is cool, but you're you. And as they're having this heart-to-heart moment, who basically busts through the doors.
Amunet.
This girl, as funny as she is one of our funnier villains that we have. She's just a pain in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what I was saying, I think, when she first premiered on the show, where, you know, and people in the chat at that time was telling me that, you know, she has more extensive powers than, because I was like, okay, is her powers just this idea of, you know, taking rocks and like throwing them at people and stuff? I'm like, okay.
Like a third grader.
You know, but it's like, you know, kind of like Magneto, but not even as intense.
Developed, yeah.
So when she did this, I'm like, okay, I guess she just wants Killer Frost again. And then she takes her, and like just when, you know, she's about to take her, she makes her stay as Caitlin because she has that crystal thing that makes it so Killer Frost can't come about.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, yeah, she pops up and it's like, okay, I don't know. I'm still out. The jury's still out for me on how much. I think she's funny. I think the actress does a great job because I loved her in, you know, Battlestar Galactica when she was on it as, you know, Starbuck. But I'm just kind of wondering, you know, like, I don't know.
Like, is there more to you? Because we haven't seen it, and right now it's just a bunch of witty lines and rock throwing. Yeah,
although, you know, and you'll get to, of course, like, we get to kind of that heart-to-heart. Everyone was having heart-to-hearts.
Yeah.
And the most, like, random pairings were having hearts-to-hearts this.
Yeah, we shared multiple, like, what is going on?
Like, why are they having this conversation? But, yeah, that was happening. But even then, even with the backstory we'll talk about, it's still kind of like, okay, you know, and I don't, yeah, you'll talk about it. Because it was just like her whole thing about selling metahumans, like, that's a thing now. I don't know. I'm getting that kind of skeeved me out a little bit.
Yeah. So she slaps the bracelet on Caitlin so she can't turn into Killer Frost.
Yeah.
And without skipping a beat, we go to Iris and Barry, and they get attacked by the Thinker. And the Thinker just takes Barry, like, just pieces out. Yeah. Very, you know, it's very clear that it's planned, because even when Barry moves Iris away and comes back, like, the Thinker knows his next move, which is really hard when you're the fastest, like, man alive. Like, your whole up game is the fact that you're so fast that people can't see you're coming.
Yeah.
So Barry, the Thinker takes Barry. We flash back to Star Labs, and we see them trying to figure out how to get both Barry and Caitlin back.
Yeah, because Iris makes the call, and once again, this was, they touched on a lot of topics in this episode, and one of them was Iris being the leaders. She's one of the leaders of Team Flash, and I know there's still that ongoing debate and the question of, why doesn't she go back to journalism? What is her real role? But I think she's gotten agency this season so far, and what we're seeing with this one in particular is she comes in and she basically makes the call to look for both Caitlin and Barry, which is questionable because of
but makes sense because trying not to like prioritize one above the other. So she has Cisco try to vibe Barry, and that clearly, poor Cisco, last week he gets hit in the head with some wood. This week he vibes himself like up into a wall. I'm
just glad he didn't get unconscious again. I was really afraid when that happened. I was like, oh my gosh, are they gonna knock Cisco out for most of this episode as well? I don't know what it's been about because they've been having him go out of commission. So.
I think maybe he should consider putting a helmet in the vibe like uniform. That's just my recommendation. Maybe a little head protection. Keep that brain.
Let's hope so, Drew. I don't consider him to be an ignorant person, so maybe he'll learn from his mistakes.
I was gonna say, fingers crossed.
He is pretty smart, right?
He did put so many things in Barry's suit. I'm just saying, Cisco.
Yeah, he can't count on all that hair to protect his head anymore.
That luscious locks.
No, he cannot.
That he's got.
So, Barry wakes up in the lair.
Yeah.
And we just see him kind of, looking around.
Yeah, trying to figure out how to get out.
Nothing too crazy. He has a little moment with the mechanic, correct?
Yeah, it was, DeVoe comes in and it's kind of like, you're not getting out of here. And it's this question of, this whole episode was very tense because right after the two sweet things that we saw happen at the tree and then with West Allen, everything just got really tense for the rest of the episode. Yeah. And it kind of became, one of these things where we're like wondering when they first told us this was going to be a lighter season, I started to think liars because I'm like, I don't know what this mid-season finale is, right? And so DeVoe comes in and he's basically saying, I'm going to teach you something this time. Right. And and Barry is saying like, okay, what? And Barry runs down everything he knows so far because this is the thing too. Barry's smart. Yeah. Barry is very intelligent,
very smart.
He's not like just the brawn of the team. He's very smart himself. But then DeVoe says, the thing you're going to learn is there's no happy endings. Yeah. And then Joe basically shows up. And I think I got scared for a second there because I'm like, oh my gosh, is he going to do something to Joe?
Yeah. So we see that, and then we pan back over to where Caitlin is with, and we see that Amunet leads her to like this unconscious body. So already I'm like, oh Lord, like what is she about to have her do? Because with Amunet, you just never know. And it is Dominic, which we later learn his name. And he has a piece of Amunet's, like, rock glove in his head. And basically, Amunet tells Caitlin, like, you need to get this out. And if he dies on the table, like, you die too. Which, that's a lot of pressure. Okay, for a doctor.
And, once again, it highlighted that story again of the idea that she said. And someone in the chat did, I've missed the name, but they did say, that was introduced when she first started, that she sells metahumans. And I don't know, I felt like at first it wasn't totally, like, drawn out that she was selling metahumans. It was more like I'm using their powers for specific things, like the tear jerker guy.
It was like she was
she was holding him hostage and using his tears as a drug. But now in this case, it seems as though she's actually selling these people to the highest bidder. And I'm like, whoa, we got some metahuman slavery stuff going on underground all of a sudden. Which is not, happy-go-lucky. Which is supposed to be, so.
So we find out he has telepathic tendencies, where he can read people's minds, and that he was, in fact, on the bus. And I think it's interesting because the character in the comics also has the ability to not just do the telepathic joint, but to also absorb all of the all the knowledge of the person that he's talking to.
Yeah.
Which, remember that, because we'll get to that. So we pan back to Joe being Papa Bear.
Yeah.
Where's my son?
Oh, that was intense. That whole him and Harrison coming through. That was like, those my boys right there.
Harrison's like, my finger's still on the trigger. This thing does not have a safety.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. What's up?
And even Harrison and DeVoe had a moment because Harrison was like, you're not as smart as you think. And DeVoe's like, I am. Yeah, and I was like, whoa.
He said, I am. Yes, I am.
And that's one of these things with these characters too, because the thing about Team Flash, I'm not gonna say unlike other teams in the Arrowverse or DC TV, is that all of them are like super smart people.
Yeah.
It's a team of super smart. Everyone is super smart, including, I mean, in other shows, people are smart too, but in this show in particular, they geek out a lot on everything. That's not just particular to battling, metahumans, but being smart. And here you have Harrison Wells.
Of all people.
And DeVoe's like, I am. And it's like, whoa. I kind of felt some type of way. I'm like, Harrison's like one of the smartest people. And even DeVoe's like, no, I'm smarter than you too.
Yeah, it was the amount of confidence and even interrupting him before he could finish the sentence, like that he knew that Harrison was going to say that.
It just makes me uneasy. In a good way, like, oh, this is great storytelling, but you're so uneasy watching these scenes.
They did a very good job of making this villain very unlikable.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he has an interesting backstory, but his cockiness and his amount of like, I know this, there's no way you can beat me, like, it just makes you want to slap him around a little bit.
Well, the one thing that grounds him, and I think they do it on purpose, is the thing with his wife, the mechanic. Like, they did the same thing. They had that Wes Allen scene earlier, and then right after that Wes Allen scene ended, they had a little scene with him and his wife, and like, him not being able to kiss her and his motor skills and stuff.
Right.
And that's the one thing that they're using to humanize him. But like you're saying, like, it's still this idea of, no, everything else about you is crap. Like, you're evil.
Yeah.
Like, you're diabolical.
Yeah, you and your wife are like evil Bonnie and Clyde goals, but you still suck pretty bad. So, so he invites Joe and Harry to search the house. He's like, by all means. And they search the house and they come up with nothing. And we go back to Star Labs and we see everyone's really frustrated. Barry's missing, Caitlin's missing, two vital, parts of Team Flash. And we see an interesting little showdown between Cisco and Ralph, which it's always interesting when Cisco, because Cisco's such a light-hearted character that it's really interesting to see when he gets mad, because I think that's when like, things are like...
Yeah. And that was interesting because here they were in the lab, and once again, we go back to Iris's earlier decision where she wanted them to look for both of them, and it was overpowering the satellite, overpowering the machines. Yeah. And so there's this idea of them getting frustrated, and Cisco, it's like, he, ultimately blames Ralph, who, to Cisco's defense, Ralph was being pretty annoying up to that point because he kept cracking jokes. And it was like, you haven't been around that long to understand the depth of how it feels for all of them to constantly be losing each other on a regular. So at one point I was like, okay, yes, thank you, Cisco, for telling him to shut up. But at the same time, he tried to blame him for Caitlin getting taken. Yeah, and I was like, no, that wasn't his fault exactly.
That's a domino effect. It's not necessarily like, yes, we can see how it does, kind of go in that direction, but let's be real, the thinker would have figured out another way.
Yeah. Siva and Siva Ram in the chat is saying Zoom and Savitar are always cocky, yet Thinker is hated. So, I mean, one of the things though is it's not just the fact that he's like hated necessarily just because he's cocky. It's like what Drew's been saying, is this idea of like, it's deeper. It's like so much deeper than what the previous villains have been.
Yeah, because the previous villains have just been strictly out of a place of hate and power, and it seems like DeVoe's intentions originally were good, but it's almost like his cockiness got the best of him. Like, it's like this growing ego is like his biggest downfall and makes him this villain. So we see, them get separated, and Iris is trying to figure out what to do, and Harry's really the one that leads her to be like, you know what to do, you're the leader.
Yeah. Once again, one of those heart-to-hearts with random people. I dug this one, though. I was like, wow, this is real. I don't know, have Harrison and Iris ever had, like, a heart-to-heart before?
I don't think
like, a moment where they're just talking about each, their thing?
I don't think this Harrison.
Yeah. Yeah, no, other Harry. Yeah.
Like HR, I'm pretty sure they had a moment.
Yeah, they did. But Harrison, I like that.
I liked it too. I was like, I want to see more Iris Harrison dynamic because I think they're both kind of like not overly emotional. They're very like, you know, let's do this, this, and this.
It'd be nice to get Tom and Candace to get more scenes together. That kind of put that in, y'all. Like it was intense and it was quick, but it was like Iris was like, I don't know, and he was like, you know what you have to do. Yeah. And I was like, whoa.
Okay. So they realize that they can only look for one.
Yeah. You got Iris realizes that. Yeah. From Harrison.
Yeah, you can only look for one. You gotta put all the effort into one. Which is hard, you know, it's your homegirl and your man. That's like
I thought she was gonna pick Barry. I'm sorry, I probably would have picked Barry.
I low-key thought she was gonna pick Barry, but then like I have to give Iris more credit than I do sometimes. I don't think she would. I think she is aware of who's more stable in that situation, which we see, you know, she did realize that. So then we see Dom and Caitlin try escaping, and they kind of use we get to see Dom's powers in action. Yeah. Fortunately.
Which were really cool.
Yeah, which were
when
really
cool. We thought we were rooting for him.
But that does not work. And we get to see another really weird pep talk. Yeah. The weirdest pep talk.
That was just, I don't know it was interesting because, okay, like, Caitlin and Amunet are talking, and then it went a totally different way, the conversation, than I thought it was going to go.
Which I love that she said, I'm nice to you. And Caitlin was like, I don't think
like you kidnapped me.
She's like, I don't stab you. I haven't thrown anything at you. And she's like, this time around you haven't.
It's like, those are nice for me.
Chill.
And she ends up doing kind of, we hear Amunet's backstory a bit, which was cool. And it was kind of like, I was a stewardess. I couldn't stop the pilots, you know, from, you know, their touchy-feely hands. And, you know, here I am now, I have power. And it's like, but you, Caitlin, you've always, you know, your powers didn't change you. You've always been exceptional. You've always been great. I'm like, wow, where is that coming from?
And what a weird, like, I don't know, because that really was such an epic moment for Caitlin to, you know, have literally your arch nemesis be like, you're here because I need you, not Killer Frost. Like, I could have gotten your counterpart, but, like, you're the reason I took an interest in you. And for that to be, like, her completely human, like, all of her abilities are completely, like, normal, that's, like, I feel like that was a confidence.
No, it was a great scene. I mean, there were a lot of great mini scenes between characters that, once again, like we were saying, we didn't expect for them to be having those kind of talks. And it actually really worked. Yeah. And it just shows the building they've done of the flashverse of these characters being able to kind of intertwine with each other in such an interchangeable way, which was showed. Yeah.
So we pan back to Star Lab. Sorry, we're hopping around so much. And we see that Iris decides to find Caitlin, which makes sense, you know.
No, it totally made sense. Like I said, I feel like in my place, I would, you know, it was just like that idea of who do you love more, but it also made sense what she was saying, that Caitlin's the more vulnerable one. Yeah. Barry can take care of himself.
But kudos to Iris, like, you just got married and you're like choosing your friend over your
till death do us part, your husband.
Yeah. So we pan back to Caitlin doing this operation, and we see the Dominant goes into shock. Everyone's freaking out. And then we see people just dropping like flies. Yeah. And come to find out, Caitlin has like drugged everybody, basically. She's released some sort of, you know, like anesthesia or whatever into the air, and everyone drops, which is Caitlin proving that, you know, she is the more valuable part of the Caitlin Killer Frost duo, because I don't think Killer Frost would have ever thought. I think Killer Frost would just start throwing snowballs.
I mean, in a way, you can say that Amunet's pep talk worked against Amunet. Yeah. Because it was actually Caitlin realizing, I can figure out how to escape. Yeah. Not help you, but how to escape.
Absolutely. So we see them try to get away, and then once again we see Dominic's powers help them out, and they duck because Amunet is right on their tail. And out of nowhere comes Ralph and Cisco with their powers. And I actually think one of my favorite, like, quotes or insults
the Cisco one,
from the season. He said white girl dreads from the 90s.
Yeah, he was like, are you a time traveler? Because those white girl dreads are from the 90s.
Which,
and it's like,
killed me, because then it was followed up by Ross saying, as they're leaving,
He's like,
you know, yeah, like, but if you want, like, Netflix and chill.
There's so many pop culture references in The Flash, and I always dig it, and they never fail each episode, and this one was no exception with the 90s and the dread talk. That was pretty funny.
Just absolutely ridiculous. So then we go back to the lair, and we don't see Barry. You know, we see DeVoe, but we don't see Barry. And then we realize that Barry has tricked, or so he thinks he has, DeVoe, because he just starts vibrating so hard that, like, he disappears. But obviously DeVoe knows. You know, DeVoe knows everything. He's the thinker. And DeVoe, like, last week, or 2 weeks ago, DeVoe was just verbally dragging Barry. This week,
he was literally
was dragging Barry all through the city. And I kind of love the Flash's CGI, because, like,
yeah, it works.
It works, but it's still, like, low-key comical.
Yeah.
Like, the Barry getting dragged around the city, that little, like, CGI thing, which is hilarious to me, because it looked like a rag doll. I mean, it looked like Barry, but
yeah, just
how limp it was was amusing. And so we see them, like, go all through the city.
Cisco's suit came through. The flotation device actually worked. The times where we actually wondered what's the point of a flotation device, and it totally worked for him this time.
Yeah.
And DeVoe went off somewhere, you know.
And so you think for a brief moment that maybe you don't really think that, though, because we know how the thinker is. With any other villain, though, you would have thought for a brief moment, we're going to be okay. Yeah. We're going to have a nice Christmas. But this is the thinker. It's new levels. We can't have nice things in the West Allen household.
Yeah.
So, we pan over to Christmas, and we see Iris questioning herself and her leadership.
Yeah.
Because, you know, luckily Barry made it back, but she was so scared, like, what if I made the wrong choice? And Barry I really like that Barry was the one to encourage her again, because in the beginning of the season we saw, like, kind of a power struggle.
Yeah, him kind of calling the shots, and them having to do couples therapy.
Yeah. And so it was so nice to see there that, like, he's just, like, encouraging her, and he's like, no, like, you're the leader. Like, you know what to do. You trusted it. You were right. Yeah. Like, we're all here. We're good.
And I think that solidified. I mean, I know, like, once again, there's always that debate. Oh my gosh, can't, you know, Iris go do journalism and things like that? But I think this moment solidified once again that this is her role. And, you know, I mean, there's a thing about agency, you know, having agency, but this is her role. Her role is one of the leaders, if not the main leader, aside from Barry, of Team Flash. That's where she's at right now. And I think, you know, we have to see her in that role and not think of it as, like, second place to her being, like, a big time journalist. Mm-hmm. You know, I think if anything else, this is a different play on the comics, but this is, I think it's a good spot for her to be in, and gives her a chance to be always in the mix of what's going on with Barry and the Flash.
Absolutely. So, you know, Joe apologizes, and, like, you know, in the midst of everything, with Cecile being out of town,
I didn't decorate.
I didn't decorate. Do you guys still want to do Christmas? Obviously, it's Christmas, and we get to Joe's house, and it is something.
Very Christmassy.
I saw some flamingos in there.
I know. I think Ralph just threw everything up in there, and he had the Santa Claus suit on.
Just went to Party City and just grabbed everything.
Right.
But Ralph saves Christmas, and it's super cute. We even see that Cisco's present from Gypsy finally comes, and he's freaking out.
He thought it was a breakup box. I did too. I was like, what? Like, we're going to do this?
I was like, no.
And then Harrison's like, it's not a breakup box. You should go somewhere else. And of course, Cisco doesn't listen, and it's a Snapchat box.
It's a sexy.
That's what it meant.
It's a sexy box.
In the sense of, you know, you see it, no one else is supposed to see it. Yeah. It's supposed to disappear after seeing it. And I cannot believe Cisco actually asked Joe, like, Joe, can I go? And Joe's like, you better go to your house.
You better take that home.
And that was a cute dynamic, and I think even we were saying, when we looked at each other, we were like, oh, this is so great. This is not the end of this episode. There's no way this is the end of this episode.
This is going to end. Something bad's about to happen.
And it totally does.
Yes, it does. And so Barry sees that there's a alarm going off at the loft, so he, you know, is the Flash. He just runs over there real quick, and he gets a phone call, and it is Dom, aka DeVoe.
Yeah.
And we see how this all played out, and we have just been played.
We had basically been, I mean, the flashback to like how Dom ended up getting taken, and it also made me wonder, was Amunet in on it the whole time? Because how did she know? Like, well, I guess I'm confused because with the timeline of it a little bit, because did Amunet like pay and they took him, and then she saw him again and took him again or something? Maybe that's what happened.
I think it looked like it was when he was buying the wine to go to the Christmas party, because he handed Joe the wine when he walked in. So I think it was like literally on his way over to the house, because I believe Caitlin even mentioned like, oh, he like Dom's on his way over or something like that. So we see that literally DeVoe puts his essence into Dom, and I think it's because of the Brainstorm, which they don't really show that much in this episode, but like I said earlier, in the comic books, Brainstorm also has the capability to absorb the knowledge of whoever he chooses. So I think he was kind of the perfect like body for it, because he's able to retain all that knowledge that the Thinker has. And so we see, you know, DeVoe become Dom, aka become DeVoe, which shout out to the mechanic for getting a hotter husband.
Yeah, she got, you know, nice trade in.
She was acting real like, oh no, I don't know. And I was like, girl, do you
and
see
then he come, I'm like,
do you see those green eyes, girl? Whatever.
No, and it was such a great moment. I mean, it was such a, as a lover of, you know, the Flash and everyone wanting to have them happy, it was like, really, this is our mid-season? Like, their wedding got interrupted by Nazis, and we didn't even get to see a honeymoon, and we know in the deleted scene that they got interrupted on their honeymoon too. Wow. And it was just like, and now this, like, wow.
And we actually see her put the wedding ring back on his finger, which I noticed earlier when they were talking at the very beginning of the episode. The ring was on the table.
Yeah.
And I just thought then, oh, that's gonna, like, Barry's gonna be the, you know, the body. But no, they had different plans for Barry.
Yeah, it just kind of the whole, and yeah. I'm shocked. I'm like, you know, because all this time I think we all thought that that DeVoe wanted Barry's body, because his body was accelerating too fast for being human, and they needed Barry's body because Barry can heal. And that's what we all thought. And then that's not what happens. He takes another person's body. But I don't think this is the end of the plan. Maybe the end game is to still get Barry's body, but now it's like, now let's start the Enlightenment, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, which I also think Barry's body might be a play, and I'll talk about that later when you bring up news and gossip, because I think it plays into that. But yeah, so we see Barry kind of like walking around his apartment, you know, and he looks at the knife set from earlier, and he sees a blood trail.
First thing I thought was, don't touch the knife.
I know.
Leave
it alone.
Leave. Just leave. Go get Iris. Get yourself an alibi. Like, you know, like, don't go further into the apartment. It's like, oh, okay, I need a witness right now. Why am I here?
Yeah.
You know, and this is the moment where I was like, I'm kind of wondering, like, is there footage or something? Maybe some type of, I mean, there has to be a way to prove that he wasn't there. He couldn't have done it. Where was DeVoe's wheelchair? Like, I mean, like I said, it just totally threw me off. I'm like, okay, so Barry's going to jail.
Yeah.
You know, and he's being framed for DeVoe's, you know, murder. And I think, you know, and I saw this online, someone was saying that they had been hinting at Barry going to jail since the beginning of this season. Actually, like when he was talking all the craziness in the thing, he says one thing like, I didn't do it, Your Honor, I swear. Like, that was one thing.
Yeah.
And then when he's running, I think we see clips and he's like in a jail or something, and he's on the phone or whatever. So someone, you know, the fandom is always doing that detective
Twitter is
work.
always on it.
And I was like, oh my gosh, they've been hinting at this for a long time.
Yeah.
And since the beginning of the
season.
season.
It explains why DeVoe had created Barry to look so obsessed with him. because this whole time it's leading up to this frame
exactly
murder.
The obsession with it, so it totally plays in like, oh, you were obsessed. And I was just like, wow, they really laid that, like, this was a total chess game. Even though, I mean, not just with DeVoe, but the Flash writers, they played a total chess game with the viewership and kind of giving us clues, kind of telling us where it was going, and then not showing their hand to the mid-season finale. So kudos to them, because I was completely flabbergasted. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting this at all. I thought Dom was going to be, Ralph was like, you've got a new guy already. You're giving him a name, Cisco of Brainstorm. I'm like, oh, we got a new guy. Maybe this might be Caitlin's new love interest.
Yeah, because it's not going to be Ralph. I will not allow
No, I don't think it's going to be Ralph.
I will not allow that. So we see DeVoe, new and improved DeVoe, casually tell everyone goodnight and walks out to Marley's, and they kind of just drive off. And that is our mid-season finale.
It was just, I mean, it's one of those things where, once again, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a happy, Christmassy, it might be some danger, and be like, we're Team Flash, and we got like, okay, and then maybe the second half is going to be way more intense. But I like that they did this. Once again, it's like, I love that they did this as someone who loves good storytelling. I was like, this is awesome. But as someone who just wants my characters to be happy, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't they have a moment, But shout out to, West Allen going to Bali.
Yeah.
For their honeymoon before it went crap.
You guys had a lovely time, because the times ahead of you are not so lovely.
Yeah.
So you have some news and gossip.
Yes, news and gossip for the Flash.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, so the first bit of news and gossip is, as many of you have probably already heard, that The Flash and Supergirl executive producer Andrew Kreisberg has been fired over sexual harassment allegations. We reported here some weeks ago, it was just like 3 weeks ago, that he was suspended, but now basically less than 3 weeks after his suspension, he has been basically let go from Warner Brothers TV Group following an investigation of the accusations. And Todd Helbing was the co-showrunner, as we all knew, so he most likely will be stepping into more of a leadership role. But yeah, Kreisberg is gone.
Which I want to say shout out to CW for seeing the problem, handling it, and like for really the Flash and Supergirl teams coming together, and like
including the actors who spoke out too.
Yeah, because obviously this has been a serious issue and for forever, but it's especially coming to light right now. And there's a lot of little girls and little boys who watch the show, and they need to know that kind of behavior isn't okay, and it's good to see that the CW is backing that up. So
awesome,
kudos.
yeah. I mean, it's going to be a shift for sure, because, what he was doing on the show, but it needed, considering if they did the investigation, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to something not as negative. The Flash, like we saw the introduction today of Kendrick Sampson, that was who was playing Brainstorm.
Hard eyes.
Has been cast as Brainstorm. We know that. That was casting news. Brainstorm, for people who might not know, originally appeared in the 1964 Justice League of America, number 32, by Gardner Fox and Mike Sawowski. Basically, he usually is a villain, as we saw, which they kind of played it differently this time, because he's not really the villain. It's DeVoe that took him over that's the villain. But it's usually, and he's also made an appearance in the Mr. Terrific comic book franchise as well. Sampson has signed on for a multi-episode arc as Dominic Lance, aka Brainstorm. So actually, we don't know how many episodes.
Yeah.
I thought it was 4, but I guess there may be more. And if that rhymes. But we also will see, clearly he might be here till the end of the season.
Well, if the rumor is true that he is only here for 4, I'm so confused. If he is only here for 4, maybe the Barry theory could still possibly be a thing.
Yeah.
So maybe,
we'll see how long he stays around.
Yeah, maybe
see how long he can have his body.
Yeah, maybe this body doesn't hold up.
But it's a nice addition. Dominic is, you've seen him on Vampire Diaries and a few other shows.
How to Get Away with Murder, White Famous. Yeah, he's on a lot of things.
Yeah, so that he's a great addition, and we saw his premiere today. It was awesome.
Yeah,
story. He switched it really great from being the good guy to being DeVoe. It was a great switch. I did not see it coming. Also, WWE wrestler Goldberg is headed to the Flash.
What?
Yes.
I was wondering why he was on the teleprompter.
Yes, this mean dude right here, this big guy. Goldberg will be jackhammering his way into the Flash. The wrestler announced on Twitter. It's unclear who he'll be playing, but it looks like he'll be around for 2 episodes. He'll be the second WWE wrestler to appear on the series. WWE Hall of Famer Edge also stopped by the Flash back in season 2, for those of you who might remember, as the supervillain Atom Smasher. And lastly, we know that the Love, Simon trailer is now out, and this is a movie starring, and we didn't even mention that poor Wally was missing from this episode.
In Cambodia.
In Cambodia.
Which I looked to see if there's any reference, and I just couldn't find anything.
Like, what is he doing in Cambodia? Yeah, Keenan Lonsdale, Wally, is in this movie playing the character of Bram. Yeah, so the trailer here, and basically Love, Simon is an American comedy drama directed by Greg Berlanti and based on the novel, and Berlanti, who's also involved with The Flash, so it's all connected, right? Yeah, it's a coming of age story. It's based off of the novel Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, and the film stars Nick Robinson, and also Keenan is in there as well. And basically Nick Robinson plays a 17-year-old closeted gay high school student forced to balance his life, his family, his email pen pal Blue, and the boy threatening to reveal his true sexuality to the whole school. The film is scheduled to be released on March 16th, 2018. So,
which I read the book, and it's so good, and I'm so excited for this. And any interview that Keenan's had about it, he's been super passionate and excited about it. So,
yeah.
You know, we're bummed he's not on The Flash, but he clearly is spending his time doing cool things.
Yeah.
So we're super excited.
This is his second movie, actually.
Yeah.
Because his other one was
like
the scary
Sheriff
movie. Yeah.
Which was really good. You guys should definitely see that if you can.
Yeah, so that's news and gossip.
Yeah. So, we have to wait so long. Like over a month.
So what's going to happen?
What do you... Predictions. Let's do this.
Let's do some predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
So what we see from the trailer is just things are not good.
Not good stuff, guys.
Things are
That's
bad.
what's gonna happen. Really crappy stuff.
We see
not storyline wise, just to the characters.
Cecile, doing her lawyer thing. So
yeah,
that would be interesting. And we even see her suggest to Barry, like, you just got to tell people you're the Flash, it'll make sense. So I'm hoping he doesn't, reveal that he's the Flash. I feel like that would completely change the dynamic of the show.
Yeah, I don't want him to pull a Tony Stark for all you Marvel. I don't want him to tell everyone he's Iron Man versus,
no Tony Starks.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like we saw in this episode, when the cops are about to come in, he could have easily ran, right?
Yeah.
He looks at him in Iris's picture and he's like, don't run. And we see in that preview, he's like, if I tell everyone on Flash, we'll be running for the rest of our lives. And I think that's, to me, my prediction is he's very much going to try to claim his innocence as Barry. Because to try to be the Flash, once again, it's like melding of this world. Like, how do you explain that? And then Iris would forever, have to be be in danger as well, if people are always trying to go after her to get to the Flash, knowing outright. So I don't see that's going to happen. Yeah. You
know what I think? This might be off the wall, and I always have the off the wall predictions, I feel. I feel like the Speed Force is going to come back into play and maybe be something that we see come up. Because, the Speed Force, DeVoe brought Barry into Speed Force. Maybe the answer to ending DeVoe is putting him in the Speed Force, like his essence in the Speed Force. I don't know.
I could see that.
Kind of like a jail cell.
Yeah, I could see that. This is the issue, though. And, my thing is, I don't want the Speed Force to be the solver of all problems for the show. It's like, okay, we don't know what to do. And we got to this point.
Throw him in the
Speed Force, And it's just and it could get to that point if it's always this answer of throwing this person in the Speed Force, or the Speed Force coming out and kind of being all-knowing God type thing. And so, that could definitely be it. And maybe, for the sake of the characters, that'd be good. I also saw online, Jay, we also who hasn't been around, who wasn't there for the crossover as well, and the actor who plays Jay, aka also who plays Barry's father, said on Twitter when someone asked him why weren't you around, he was like, maybe there's a reason for that, you know. So I feel like maybe Jay may play some type of part in this somehow.
I would love that.
Yeah, that would be awesome to incorporate because we haven't seen him, so it'd be great to like have him play some type of role. And also, you know, we saw who could be potentially Dawn Allen.
Yeah.
And I thought she was going to pop up again for the mid-season, and she didn't because I saw online someone mentioning that maybe she might. So it's like, okay, maybe she may come in and help her parents out or her grandparents, whoever they end up being, who she ends up being. But I think she's going to come back into play too.
I hope so. If she is one of the twins, I hope we see the boy.
But what do you think? You had said something, you were going to talk about Dominic, like how long he was going to stay around.
Oh, yeah. I was just because we saw Kendrick Sampson that said, you know, he's only going to be around for like 4 episodes. I think maybe, you know, his body can't handle DeVoe like DeVoe thought he could, or like at least could only handle it for a certain amount of time. And DeVoe knows that and needs to prep Barry. Or maybe in that, since you said that, you know, he's coming back, maybe another speedster, because I don't necessarily think it just has to be Barry.
No, exactly. So that's the thing too. Like, I mean, Barry's the fastest man alive, so maybe that's why DeVoe might want his body. But there's other speedsters, so
on this earth though.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still don't know what DeVoe wants. I mean, I thought we'd have an idea, and we still don't know what. I can't predict it, and it's exciting, but I don't know what this guy wants.
I think this is the first season I can honestly say I have no idea what's gonna happen, where things are going. Like how it's gonna go down. I think seasons before we've been able to kind of
figure it out before it happens.
But this one,
they threw me off.
I have no
Which
idea.
is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited, and I hope you guys are excited, and I hope you guys keep the excitement until January, which is when we'll be back.
January 16th.
Oh, goodness gracious, over a month. My name is Drew Jones. You can follow me on all the things at OKDrewJ. Chauncey.
Yeah, and this is Chauncey K. Robinson, and you can follow me on Twitter at Miss Chauncey KR, and you can also check me out every Sunday on Horror TV News Weekly.
Woo! We hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas, happy Hanukkah, safe holidays, and we'll see you guys next year.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.